So if I attach all 6 antennas, do I have to put an ASUS logo here? So it's time to have a look at the big brother to the Banana Pi BPI-R4, cleverly named the Banana Pi BPI-R4 Pro. Now, both have an A76 SoC from MediaTek, 8 gigs of memory RAM, and dual 10 gig fiber. So, what makes this one Pro? Well, the 4 gigabit ether holes have been upgraded to 2.5 gig, and now there's dual 10 gig copper for both your LAN and WAN, along with a 1 gig because reasons. I've named him Steven. On top of that, there's room for 2 M.2 drives and 3 B keys for your 4 and 5 Gs. What's not to love? Well, 7 months after release, there's still no official OpenWRT, and the tech demo hosted on Google Drive violates the first rule of OpenWRT Club. Only download OpenWRT from OpenWRT. But I'm going to use it anyway, just to make sure the Wi-Fi module works, check transceiver compatibility, pop in an NVMe drive, and sling some iPerf3 through the system. Just a basic health check. But first, we need to do the adult Lego thing and stick it all together. Okay, let's start with this case. I'm going to slide in the R4 Pro and lock it in place with these 4 screws. Now it's time for the fan, this side towards enemy. I'm just going to slide that on there and tighten up the 2 nuts. And remember to connect the power. Up next is the Wi-Fi card. I've already applied the 3 thermal pads. It just slides right in here with 2 screws holding it down. The heatsink goes on top and 4 more screws for maximum squish. And don't forget to plug this fan in either. Now we need to connect the Wi-Fi antennas. I like to put the grippy thing on the inside, slide it through, washer on the outside, and just tighten things down. Then stab the connector into the Wi-Fi card. You can use all 6, but I'm really only using 2 for testing. And look at that routing. Professional. Now it's time to pop on the lid and secure it with 2 more screws in the back. And look at that. The alignment is pretty good, and having these labels on the business end, hey, that's a nice touch. Now I'm going to flip it over and crack open this little door because I want to install an NVMe drive for later. There's nothing to it. Pop the cover back on, and there we go. Alright, let's see what's in these zips. More zips! I'm gonna get these decompressed and just go ahead and write the SD image to a card. Pop it in, flip the dips down, and plug in a USB-C cable because we need to use minicom to keep track of what's going on under the hood. So let's apply the electrons, and after a bit of a wait, there we go. Forbidden OpenWRT. Now it's time to copy the NAND and EMMC images to a FAT32 formatted flash drive. Pop that critter in. Let's get it mounted, and there's my NAND image. NAND is MTD3, so let's lobotomize it and copy the image over. Then power off the system. Flip the dips to 1 up and 2 down, and look at that, we're booting from NAND. Now I can mount the flash drive, write the preloader bin, followed by the OpenWRT image, and power off. Flip the dips 1 down, 2 up, and after another wait, Forbidden OpenWRT on EMMC. Ta-da! Here we are logged into LuCI, and short and sweet. We can see the 8 gigs of memory have been detected and 300 megabytes out of the 8 gig EMMC are available. Typical OpenWRT. But hey, it sees the NVMe drive I snuck in there, so it's got that going for it. The ports are porting, and it looks like the 2G, 5G, and 6G radios are up. Neat. Outside of that, not much to poke at, because like you, there's no way I'm running unofficial OpenWRT on my network. Just in case I haven't made this fantastically clear, do not run OpenWRT downloaded from Google Drive on your home network. I have this critter plugged into the fiber switch in my studio. All of this is for audio over IP. It's not talking to anything important. Yoink. So let's get to testing these 10 gig transceivers. Up first, Finstar. It's looking good. The iPolX transceiver picked right up. And it's more the same with a 10G tech. Neat. Now, what about these copper adaptatrons? Neither this 1GB iPolX or this 2.5GB module from Tech would even establish a link. What about the 10GB copper doodle from Banana Pi? Well, before I plug it in, let me pop it into the switch and show you something. That's right, these thermal nope heaters idle around 60C, and that's normal. Now I can't imagine why you would use one of these with the R4 Pro, but if you do, don't. Let's pretend I didn't say any of that. Well, it does pick it up, at least when you plug it in. And I say that because it crashes OpenWRT when you remove it. So for now, fiber seems fine, but don't count on being able to use one of these critters. Okay, let's sling some databits. Up first is 10GB over Ethernoodle, and the bidirectional test with iPerf3 is not great. 10 GBs on the send, but only 5 are coming back. And it's more the same with direct attached copper. What if we remove the bidirectional flag? Yeah, it works fine. On a happier note, all of the 2.5GB ports are humming along without issue, so there's that. And if you're wondering about power, we're just under 12 watts at idle with a Wi-Fi module attached, and that jumps up to 13-ish under load. Now, I really tried to cook this critter using StressNG, but even with a passive heatsink, I couldn't get it to crack 55C. That's pretty good. But I did manage to get around 800 megabytes per second reads and writes on the NVMe drive with its one lane of PCI Express. And if you're wondering how I'm running Debian 13 on the R4 Pro, that's thanks to Frank's BPI router images. I put together a guide for getting it up and running over on Interfacing Linux, and it's what I used to run Doom on the R4 Pro. So yeah, if you're looking for a headless single board computer with a gang of ether holes and you don't mind running Debian 13, that makes one of you. Because the only reason you buy one of these is to install OpenWRT. So where's it at? Well, right about here. According to this post, we're waiting on a firmware update from Banana Pi for the Switch. And after looking over the pull request, that would get it in an early, technically function state. But it looks like Banana Pi is at least thinking about it. That, and the gentleman behind the PR isn't happy about the recent price increase, putting the R4 in the $600 range? Yikes. Then again, we live in a world where a Pi 5 is going to set you back like $300. So I wouldn't expect an official OpenWRT build to be available for this critter before the end of 2026, and that's probably for the best because at the current price, the R4 Pro doesn't make any sense. Maybe things will calm down in a year. Then we can come back and do some actual testing, because I genuinely think this is no-kill like overkill hardware. And my only real complaints are the lack of rack ears and this barrel jack in the front. Thankfully, you can power it over USB-C. Oh, and good job adding this removable plate on the bottom. Makes it so much easier to fish out the SD card in the case, because you're going to be doing that. There's a bit of a gap back there. But if you can live without the 2.5 and 10 gig copper, check out this R4. It's on pretty good terms with OpenWRT, and this critter, it's going to get there eventually. In the meantime, if you got one of these, leave me a comment and let me know what you're doing with it, and maybe drop me a like on the way down. But that's going to do it for this one, so I want you to get out there and make something awesome.